Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and I have been playing entirely too much Space Engineers. This is a survival sandbox based entirely around the idea of going to space, more or less. And it says on the little loading screen that you get at the very beginning something along the lines of a sandbox built around exploration and creativity. And that's pretty much the best way to describe it. There is very little in the way of combat, at least not that I've seen so far in my... Alright, let's admit it, 26 hours over like the past week, because admittedly I've been playing a little bit too much of it. Let's go and check out the most basic stuff on PC though. This is PC, this is running at 60 frames a second, and with what options? Graphics options, that's what I'm looking for. There's a lot of them, and the game does look significantly different if you're playing it in low. Thankfully, my computer does manage to hold 60 frames a second on high with all of this turned on. But it doesn't quite get much higher than that. This is still a pretty heavy game, and you'll see why once we actually get into it. You might notice that I've got the music turned off entirely, and the sound around yay. Honestly, I should probably have that lower because, well, trust me, with the amount of by-hand binding and constructing you'll be doing in this game, you'll be thanking me for that rather quickly. There is also voice chat, but it's kind of terrible. So we've also got rebindable keys and a bunch of other things going on here. And there is also, I believe, is it in, no, it's not in display, but there's all those options there. I'm surprised display and graphics aren't the same thing or whatever. You do have a field of view slider around here somewhere, but there's almost no point turning it up, because if you go into third-person view, it also works on that camera. The camera in this game can be a little bit bizarre. Nevertheless, though, we might as well just hop straight into the game. So, this game does support online multiplayer with a bunch of other people playing on the same server, and you can do anything from work together with them to try and beat the crap out of them or what have you. That's why I don't hop into public servers, because it'll probably turn out like every ARK server ever known to man. Nevertheless, oh, character. This is a little weird. I wonder if this is going to show the spaceman that I had in my game before I stopped it. We'll just see what happens when it loads, eh? I haven't actually clicked this menu option before. Yep, this is exactly what I thought it was. So when it decides to load in my spaceman, there we go. I've got a cow print, I've got rainbow hands, and I've got leopard boots, because apparently my feet are cougars. Ain't that something? You do also have the ability to change the hue of everything, but that doesn't apply to the special stuff. I put this on and I decided I looked hideous, but that was apparently the reason to keep it on. You can also change all your tool skins, but I didn't get any of them, because strangely enough, you have to rely on random drops in the game itself in order to get those unique camos, which is really bizarre, and we'll probably get to that when we get to that, because, trust me, we'll see one at some point during this video. So, I'm just going to hit continue game right here. It's going to hopefully load, yes, Moon Explorer, which is the most recent save that we have. It's actually gone through a few saves, because I've been doing a save as every time we want to, like, make a backup point, in case we want to make sure that we've got somewhere to roll back to if we screw up. Thankfully, we've decided not to do that in a very large scale yet. There have been a couple of disasters which we very quickly exited to the main menu and then plopped the game back on in order to avoid, because, trust me, when you're as early on in the game like this as we are, with as few people as we have, yeah, those sorts of losses can be absolutely devastating. So being very quick has helped us more than a couple of times. Thankfully, it's not something we've had to do yet. So here we are. Welcome to... Whoa. Oh, yeah, there we go. We're loading in. Welcome to the moon base. We're on the moon. And I can actually take my helmet off and demonstrate that we've got oxygen in here. So this is the base that I and my friend here have been working on for some time. So my friend is Pandemonium, currently over there in their ship. Say hi, Panda, if you feel like it. No? No hello? Not even in text chat? Okay. Maybe they haven't loaded in yet. This might be taking a while, because I am running this off a hard drive, and considering how much there is out there, it can be quite slow. That's my ship up there. For example, there's the planet we came from, because the entire point of this game is building up the resources to explore. Well, at this point, it's basically just one system, but who knows? Maybe they'll extend it further when the game gets a bit, I don't know, maybe better optimized, further developed. Let's not show that off just yet. But yes, here we are. Actually, I can't go out this door because that's not an airlock, because yes, you do need airlocks. If we just open the door here, close it behind us, you're alive, thank God, as opposed to being dead. Alright. So here we are on the surface of the moon. Ignore the gigantic cargo crate sticking out the side of the building. I'll get to that. So the entire point of the game is to build... What am I not allowed to say on YouTube? Basically anything that goes against the rhetoric of the American political left. So, this is my ship. I've been told it looks like a toad. A big, fat toad with a cancerous lump on the top of it, but yes. We can just hop in, and I've actually got a ship to fly. I did not build this by myself. I built this with the help of Panda over there, because admittedly I'm quite new to this game, but Panda has a few hundred hours in it to my knowledge, so they've been helping me out pretty much all the way through this journey. 179 hours, okay, fair enough. I still count that as a couple of hundred, by the way. So, the game's mechanics are actually really simple once you get down and really into the... Yeah, let's just ignore that cyberpunk brothel over there. The game's mechanics are actually really simple. You only have 3 tools to work with. You've got your hand drill. Whoops, I just let all the air out. You've got the hand drill, which you can use to dig up resources. And I will demonstrate with the most basic resource that the game has available to us, which is stone. I just realized that my sound is not coming through at all. Just a moment. There's the sound. You're going to be hearing these sounds a lot, by the way. So, if we head on back up to my ship here, we have, if I can get in there with the jetpack without falling to my doom, we can go and have a look at the survival kit. And the survival kit contains the basic tools we need to produce and survive. Produce elements and survive. So we've got nickel, we've got silicon, we've got iron. We can also find these individually. And once you've processed all of these using the survival kit and some stone, you can produce some very basic construction components. You've got displays, you've got steel plates, which are basically just these blocks of armor here. You have a bunch of other things that you can build. Solar cells, motors, interior plates. And you can use them in different ways to build different components. Like, for example, if I just pull out, say, this here. This is the light armor block, and we can put it down either on a grid or freely, if we so desire. I can't actually put it down because I don't have the resource, you get the idea. So, I could just easily put this down here, and you can see on the right what components it needs. And this gets a fair bit more, well, not so much a fair bit more complicated, but you can see how all of these different objects require different things. And the general idea is that you've got a couple of other tools that you can use. So, once you've used Survival Kit to upgrade your basic stuff, I did not mean to go flying off into the distance there. I saw you flying upside down. There will be no Spider-Man kisses in this video. No Spider-Man kisses. Get off my base. There will be no Spider-Man kisses in this video. But once you've got the resources, you build yourself a basic assembler and a basic refinery. This thing here is the refinery. And the refinery can be used to do different ores. So you notice that the survival kit pulled out a little bit of nickel, a little bit of silicon, and a little bit of iron. Well, you can go and get some more in-depth resources, and we will be doing that eventually. So that's what the refinery does, and then the assembler lets you put together more complicated components. So if I open up the cargo container here, we can actually go to the production screen and see that the assembler here actually has a bunch of extra things that we can build on top of what the survival kit was able to build. So you can see a bunch of little things here, and those can be combined into a bunch of other things. So, for example, cargo containers stores things, basically your chests in Minecraft. Conveyors. These can be used to transport objects along them for certain reasons. And I've got a very simple setup going on here. So if we head back out to the roof, you can see here that I've got a connector connected to my ship. And that goes all the way down to our assembler and refiner. What this does is, when we take this ship and take it to a resource point, we've got our cargo containers here on the ship. If we toss resources in here that the assembler and refiner can use, mainly the refiner, we can toss them in there, and when we reconnect the ship up to the base, it'll automatically suck out all of the resources that we've got in the ship, and that can be processed on through straight to the refiner, which can immediately break them down, and then the assembler can immediately start building them. And these things also have these little points here. You can see these little points on the conveyor. These can be used to connect them together. So I've got the assembler connected to the refiner, connected to the cargo container. So if any of these ever gets full, they just offset their stuff to the cargo container. It's a very simple system, but I think it highlights the possibilities of what you can do, especially since you've got a different bunch of conveyor parts that can affect how they work, and a bunch of different systems that fiddle around with them. For example, over here is an incredibly simple base oxygenation system. So if I hit K to open this thing's control panel, you can see that we've actually got room pressure. That means that the room is sealed up and we're able to feed oxygen into it. So this is our oxygen tank, and this is our O2H2 generator. You put ice in here, which is basically a resource along the lines of iron, silicon, and nickel, and that will automatically start turning it into oxygen or hydrogen, depending on what you've got hooked up to it, feed it through to the oxygen tank, which will then feed it through to the air vent and spill it out. However, if I had this connected to this over here, we'd have a problem, because hidden behind this and this giant cargo container is actually an entire energy generation system in the form of a hydrogen tank, a hydrogen engine, a O2H2 generator of its own, and a large cargo container to hold all of it. Because if this was hooked up to that, this would be taking all of the ice it needs for the oxygen and the hydrogen, because it's basically just an ice hog, more or less. With that said, though, let me shut up about the game's basic mechanics, and let's actually go and mine some resources, because why the hell not? We do actually have a plan for this video, even if it is going to take us 2 hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and mine some materials to make ourselves another ship, because we've got a ship over here that's alright for transporting materials, and we've got this cyberpunk brothel, I called it earlier. It does look better than it used to. It used to look like a pill you give to old people to help them die, but nevertheless, we're going to go with our transport ship here, although Panda might feel the urge to go and get some more resources which might be useful for that. Yes, you did blow it up once, and that's a funny story, because this save game has been going on for 26 hours, and we've got a lot of stories, and it's mainly about how Panda's been blowing up their own ships. It's kind of ridiculous, but nevertheless, well, then again, I did blow up ours once, back when we were back on Earth, I suppose. So it's not like it's entirely my fault, it's mostly their fault. Let's hop into the ship. So, you need to program these buttons to do things, but we can get to that later. Right now, I have control of my ship. It's actually quite simple, but that's because the ship's actually been programmed properly. You see, there are dozens of individual objects that go into ships like this. You've got individual kinds of thrusters. You have a bunch of control in the form of the cockpit that I'm currently sitting in. And we've also got a bunch of conveyors here in order to hook up this connector on the side to the cargo containers, and also the reactor, which is connected to a couple of other things that need power. But right now, let's not worry too much about that. I might go over that a little bit more later. But honestly, it's not as complicated as it looks. Sure, if you want to get more complicated stuff, like say, drop everything in one container and then have it like filter out to 3 different things and not have one take more than its fair share, things can be a little complicated. But when you're doing something like this, it really is quite simple. And that's kind of one of the best... Hey, what the hell are you doing? I would not suggest trying to break the ship. Go grab some, basically everything. We're going to need everything to build a ship of some kind, aren't we? But yes, first person view. Nothing too shabby. Hell, if I leave the cockpit let's not leave the cockpit that way. I might get run over by my own ship. But there are a few things that you can program. Like, for example, I've got lights programmed here, but I can also turn off my thrusters entirely and leave me just a floating husk in space. Let's not do that for too long and slow down, because this does actually have some pretty intense, well, not so much intense physics simulations, but it's always one of those things where you forget about, right up until you're about to run into a rock wall. Then you need to immediately fire off some thrusters in case of an emergency, right? Because I've got a lot of weight on this ship, and it takes time to speed up and slow down. The fastest I can go is up, because I've got 3 thrusters on the bottom of it, because this is the ship we initially took to space. That can be a little bit of a problem, because we do have different kinds of energy resources, and of course you do need to keep that all filled up. This is a game about as much as managing what you have, as much as building or acquiring stuff that you need. And allow me to demonstrate that right now, once I turn my lights on. We have iron over in this wall. Thankfully, we have a way through. A little bit raw. Okay, let's get some iron. My inventory is completely full, because not only do you end up drilling a bunch of stone from time to time, you'll also end up drilling out the components that you need. Or should I say the resources that you need. It can be a bit weird with the terminology in these games sometimes. But now that I fill up my inventory, I can just head on back. And thanks to the fact that this connector here is connected to everything inside the ship, I can see all the inventories and I can drag it straight to the cargo containers. So now I'm going to go and mine stuff. And chances are this video is going to get accelerated. This part of the video, I should say, is going to be accelerated because it's very loud. This is incredibly loud and it is really quite annoying sometimes. Even when the sound is quite low, it can still be annoyingly loud. Alright, you just got to watch me mining some iron for a little bit. Hope you had fun, because that is a significant amount of time that you will be spending in this game mining resources. Because it really is just like one of two things. Mining resources and then using them to build stuff. So let's just take that back to the base itself. You might also notice that pieces are capable of taking lots of damage, and if you were paying attention to the video, you mine a new craft. That is a good way to put it, I suppose, but we don't want to get hit for trademarks. So you might notice at some point, some parts of the, well, basically everything can take some damage. My poor landing gear here has seen more than its fair share. It's always on this corner too. I don't know what it is about my back left, which is bad, but that's really not good for me trying to reverse park in a car. Nevertheless, you really do need to be careful with how you treat your things. There's our headquarters, and as you can see, there is a lot of explorable environment, but what there isn't that much of is mostly stuff to find. We do have a component or two on here to help us find the ores, which we can actually turn on at any time. I'm willing to bet it's... Oh no, it's on. Okay, fair enough, it's on. But we can use that to help us find ore. Unfortunately, it's not going to be too useful around headquarters because there's like a fuck ton of ice off to the left of us. But this is also why I picked the place to put down the ship, because as it turns out, not only will you be mining and crafting, you'll also be doing things like managing energy reserves, because you've got electricity, which you will need things like solar panels and wind turbines to generate, and then you've got hydrogen, which you will need things like ice and H2 generators. And that's basically it. You do also unlock nuclear reactors, but I was incredibly disappointed to find out that they have not added nuclear weapons to this game, although at the same time I kind of understand why they wouldn't do that. There are weapons in this game, but oddly enough we don't actually have any to show you, because there are AI opponents like down on the planet and somewhere in the solar system from time to time, but we've never actually run into them. You're a pacifist. Right, and the amount of times we pulled out our swords and decided to duel each other. But nevertheless, I have just placed our ship on the connector, so now we can head back inside. Is it actually pressurized? Yeah, it's pressurized enough. No, it's not. Let's put the helmet back on. Probably because I don't have that second door set up there. So, if we head on down to our Ooh. I don't remember leaving those there. That's not great. But if we head on to our medium cargo container... Huh. Right, our basic refinery is still full up. But if we were to, say, swap around the order of these, we will now start producing iron ingots. And basic refinery gets you more of a ratio, then the refinery on top of that gets you even more of a ratio and lets you mine some more difficult resources. And there are also modules you can put on the refineries and the assemblers to make them more efficient or effective, which is a nice little thing. So what are we going to do? We are going to take all of these resources that we have been mining and we are going to use them to make something a little bit easier to drill with, because as you can see out there, we've got a lot of ice and it's very hard to make a dent in it. So for example, let's say I wanted to go and fill up my ship so that next time I want to take it out on the lam, it has a full hydrogen tank. You see, it does have its own H2O2 generator. It just consumes it. A lot of it. Very, very quickly. So as you can see, it's already taken all that for its own O2H2 generator, and that will not add very much ice to the engine. As you can see here, 35.1, 35.2. So that's very little energy efficiency. So we're going to make something that will make us allow us, I should say, to more efficiently mine this big flat sheet of ice. It's probably going to be a ship. It's probably going to have a drill on the bottom of it. And it'll also be a good opportunity to show off some of the more intense mechanics, like the gyroscopes, the drills, and, of course, the building in zero gravity with this ridiculous jetpack. And trust me, it's not just for doing stupid stuff like this. Head up in the air, turn the dampeners off, and then just flip our way into the solar system. Someone probably got motion sick from that, I'm sorry. But anyway, Panda, what do you think is the best approach for making a ship that we can use to drill this ice sheet? I imagine we'll need a slab, some rockets, and some hydrogen somewhere on it, but what else will we need? Something like the one you built? That's a good example. It's over here, with a bunch of off-color cargo containers stuck to it. So we've basically just got drills on the bottom, a bunch of connectors connecting the hydrogen tank to the the O2H2 generator, the thrusters around the sides to give it a little bit of extra control. There's a gyroscope around here somewhere, I just don't remember where it is, and some medium cargo containers just to hold all the stuff. So I suppose we can make that. Doesn't sound hard enough. So the first thing we'll need to do is make ourselves... I guess we should start with we need a foot, of course, landing gear. So the way we actually look up things in this game to build is by pressing the G key. And this shows us all the things we have available to build to us, including stuff that's available in the paid DLC. Thankfully, most of the paid DLC mainly seems to be either cosmetics or different ways to go about a similar object, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way just a little bit. But then I was reminded this game's been in development for like 7 years and they kind of need the money, so alright, I'll give it to them. So, a foot, also known as a landing gear. What do we need for it? A ton of steel plates, construction components, and some motors. Cool. So you have to drag it over to your hotbar. You've also got like 10 of them that you can use, but honestly I have a really tough time remembering what's there. So I'll just go back to the base and make us a foot while Panda gets us something a little more complex. Let's say a hydrogen tank maybe? I don't know. You're really good at building this stuff. You can figure out what we need. So we can see on the right there that what we need for all of our components. So we're going to need some motors. So let's go build some motors. And we're going to need some construction components. So let's build some construction components. We can hold control and click, do 20s Control and Shift to do 1,000, and I believe Shift does 100. So all our stuff's been built. Let's just take 100. No, we'll take 120 of them just to show off. Oh, we'll take all of them. We can carry them. Why the fuck not? Nope, hang on. I've done something wrong here. These inventory controls get me from time to time. There we go. Whoops, I just let all the air out again. Panda actually has a really intelligent design going on in their ship. Might as well show it off. So we've got a door here. It opens up, lets all the air out. We drop down. That door shuts behind us because there's a sensor in the roof. And that determines what doors are open and what doors are closed. Really neat stuff. There are plenty of little tools like that. We can play around with them later. Right now, we need a landing gear. Here we are. One giant foot for mankind, I suppose. So here's how this building system works. You don't actually have to spend all the resources that you're given in order to make an object. You can make it functional, but to make its durability higher, you need to spend more resources. So I can build it all the way up to about here, and it's functional now, right? But if you spend more resources on it, which I already have entirely by accident, we can build this up even more and make it stronger. So if you need to get something built quick and dirty, you can. If you want to make something nice and strong, you can do that as well. So we've got the foot, the giant foot that we can use to build, say, a light armor block on top, and every object in this game runs by the same rules. The weird thing about the way this builds, though, is that you don't really get the choice of whether or not it's functional or not. There might be, like, a key I can press somewhere to be like, only use the required resources, but if I know about it's not there, I'll probably get corrected on it in a second. But nevertheless, it's still kind of a nice system to let you just fiddle around with this sort of thing. So every ship that we can fly needs one of these babies. It's a cockpit. Nah, nothing like that exists. Yeah, fair enough. I figured I would have spotted it by this point, but this is me we're talking about. I have a tendency to miss the bleeding obvious. But there is one thing we're going to need for a ship that we always need. It's a cockpit. And there are plenty of different kinds of cockpits, which is kind of neat. But we'll just work with your basic cockpit right now. Although, I don't exactly know how we're going to do this, because we might be in two minds about the way to go about this right now. Because right now, you'll build a large grid. Oh yeah, it probably means that I've built the big block and not the small block. Because you can do that. Wouldn't this be more appropriate for like a... whatchamacallit? Wouldn't this be more appropriate for a... I'll just grind this down. Like say we put the hydrogen tank like right here, then kill the foot. Would that be the right thing to do? Because there are actually considerations to be made in some sense or another. I mean, if you want to build a huge miner. No, we probably don't have the resources. We should probably just build a smallish miner, shouldn't we? Alright, I'll grind this back up. We can make it work with a small foot. Small foot! It's so tiny. Alright, so I guess we'll build this up with... Oh, well, first thing we're going to do is get my welder back on my toolbar. This is one reason why multiple toolbars actually helps out with this sort of thing. We'll just put a few armor blocks on here, just to give us something to start with. And I'll just finish them off. And as you can see, thankfully, smaller components require less resources. So you could do the stupid thing, like I did, where I built this base out of entirely large blocks and take like 25 freaking blocks, freaking steel plates for every single block of this. Or you can make something smaller. It looks a bit silly, but hey, it's mine. That's the fun of building, right? Alright, so I guess we'll start with this. I don't really know what Panda's plan is for this, but I guess we should build a cockpit next. Unless there's something important that I'm missing. Cockpit is. Cool. Fair enough. Let's just build this up. I'm going to need more stuff. So, this is another example of the whole build it up halfway, but then build it extra. Because as you can see, this needs a unique resource to build up the rest of the way called Bulletproof Glass. Pretty easy to make, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's there. So we need 15 computers and 5 displays. Pretty easy to go make that. Now, there is something interesting that you can do, if I can get through this door. So, I haven't been using this, because admittedly I'm a bit of a shit when it comes to remembering what resources I need. But if we were actually to go to the cockpit, and then click down here, we could put the cockpit on the build planner. And that would put up this list of resources that we need to build it into a little thing that we can then hook up to the production queue to use. At least I believe this is how it works anyway. So yeah, build planner, then we can just click on this object here, and all the resources we need will automatically be assembled here, and it'll start being assembled. Again, we don't need that. We just need, what was it again? It was 15 computers and 5 displays. We should have enough for that. Hell, we should have some of those resources here already. 20 computers, and we'll just take all 7 displays. Perfect. Ah, suit energy. The bane of the existence of any space engineer. So you can see our 4 resources in the bottom left there. We do have to manage our own resources from time to time, but honestly, it's not actually that big of a deal. Like, we're even playing... Where did I get bulletproof glass? Never mind. I'll just build this all the way up. Maybe Panda came over here and just built on it, or whatever. So, you've got your 4 resources on the bottom left there. Oxygen, hydrogen, power, and health. Health is obvious. If you run out, you die. We've died through multiple kinds of collisions. The funniest one being the fact that we somehow managed to run into each other in an open plane on the goddamn planet. I don't know how we managed to do that, but we also managed to do it twice. Also, oxygen. Obvious. You needed to breathe. The problem with oxygen... I blame you too. Oxygen, you need to breathe, but you also need suit energy because it powers your life support systems. And the easiest way to get it all back is just like hop into a powered cockpit. Because it all just like regenerates, so you'll never run out of oxygen, especially here on the moon. At least if you don't like do something stupid, like end up on the moon with no resources. You've also got hydrogen, which is what powers your jetpack. And it's actually quite low in supply when you're playing on the Earth. But again, when you're up here, when you've got all this ice over here, it's nothing that you really need to worry about. So next, we're probably going to need drills, aren't we? So let's see what a drill costs to construct. Hopefully we don't have that much to worry about. Oh, that's going to be a lot of steel plates. Hopefully we can get a smaller version of the drill, but for that we'll see. Usually it comes with like a little plus if you can get a smaller version, and it looks like we aren't getting a smaller version, so that might suck. You use the bloody keys above your arrow keys to navigate these ones. It's weird. Also, building does work. It can just be a little bit frustrating to work with sometimes because you do need to hold the mouse over what it is you're looking at. But this game's camera can be a little odd because not only can you do things like this, where you end up upside down, but you can also do things like the crouch and jump keys to move in all 6 directions, more or less. But you can also move just very slightly off to the left and find yourself not aligned to anything anymore, and that can kind of suck. Thankfully, it looks like we do have a lot of the components we will need to build these drills. So let's just, can I, unable to place drill, why not? Probably because it's, I can't look low enough. It's probably because it needs to stick out a bit, isn't it? Let's just put out, let's say like 2 blocks, and then back to the drill. Is this what it's looking for? I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't think I've ever placed a drill before, so I couldn't tell you what's happening. Oh, it works fine along this wall. Why does it work fine along this wall? Whatever. Drill there. And drill there, I guess? Probably because it's off-center, isn't it? Yeah. Thankfully, we can go back to our grinder and do this. There's also something neat about the way that this game handles resources. Mainly that... Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Mainly that you can actually put blocks down and just leave them there as kind of a blueprint for what you want to do, and come back with all the resources you need for it later, which is quite useful. I should have all the construction components I need on the ship to get these built. Keyword being should. And thankfully you can also just grind down most components and get all of their stuff back later. Most steel things like this will do that, but there are some things that are not like that. For example, batteries to hold energy that you charge via, whether it be, say, your energy systems or what have you. If you grind them down, there are some resources you won't get back. I don't know if the game warns you about this, but it didn't for me. So we need large steel tubes and construction components, and I believe I've got plenty of both here somewhere. Or at least if I don't, I just got myself the resources to make them, so it shouldn't be a problem. Large steel tube, just give us like 8 of those. And yeah, we've always got plenty of construction components. I always make too many construction components. No big deal whatsoever. Those should be done. Get them over to my inventory, and let's go construct them. So, once we've done that, we're going to go do something a little different and let Panda work in the background about what this, a little bit more about what this drill will take to actively work for what purposes we want it for. To go and explore that unknown signal off to the side there. Damn, I ran out of construction components. I'll go and fix them up for you before you go and do anything else. We're probably going to need everything hydrogen related. I'm sure that they can be trusted with that. Hang on. 92. Alright. Let's go and see that unknown signal. Honestly, these things are kind of worthless. They give you a little few extra bits of stuff that you can use to build up your base at the very beginning, but at the end they just become worthless. Like, for example, almost every single one of these that I found, excuse me, is giving you a handful of space credits. There are some merchants you can go find that'll sell you ships for space credits, but they usually number in the billions in terms of price, and you're lucky to get more than 10,000 in one of these. They tend to spawn around you randomly at certain distances, although when I was traveling to the moon, which just takes a really long time, it decided to spawn one down on Earth, which was like 300 kilometers away at the time. It was ridiculous. Admittedly, the game is like, oh good, I got cow gloves. Brilliant, he says, putting his hands together. But also, if we head around to the side here, we can have a look at the cargo container and see that it's given us 116 space credits, a construction component kit, and an enhanced grinder, which we already got from another one of these. You're better off just, like, grinding these down and using the resources for something back at your base. Or just rolling them away and watching them self-destruct on the terrain. That's also fun. There are also strong unknown signals, which come up less frequently or are way further away, but they also don't have anything worth it half the time. Disposable health kits in a game like this are never really useful, because you think, oh, I'm going to go do something, but I want a health kit, but you never know if you're going to have them or not, because they're random from those drops, which are also random. So, okay, thank you very much for nothing. The only thing I've found them really useful for is skins. I'm very colourful. Let's get back to base. Need to recharge my suit energy again. Thankfully, there are plenty of ways that you can mark out areas that you want to do. You've got a GPS, and you can mark points at any time and share them over text chat. That's really cool. You can also see your chat history, factions, including people that you don't want to deal with. Space spiders sounds absolutely awful. Well, information for all of your stuff that you've got available to you, your production, your control panel for controlling things. We'll probably get to the control panel later on once we build the ship up a bit more, and the inventory. one thing that I always forget to do. This button over here, this is what lets you see every inventory to something that's been connected to, that you're connected to. So if I want to see the inventory of my ship, I can do that if it's connected to my base. I just need to remember to swap it off that one thing, which is like, hey, only show me the inventory for this thing in general. Alright, Panda, what have you been building? We have small hydrogen tanks. These will be used for fuel. Fair enough. And you've built them to just barely within what they need to be. Thankfully, I've got some construction components here, so I'll just finish that one up. So what's next? Feel free to tell me in text chat and I'll... oh, cool. A medium cargo container. Great. Entirely for holding all of the ice that we'll be taking out. I'm assuming we're also going to need a connector, so I'll go and I'll put together the resources for that. We're actually going to be needing two connectors, aren't we? One for the cargo container here, and one for the ship itself. So let me just dump all the resources I've got here back into my inventory, back into the cargo container here. And then, connector. Add it to the build planner. Nope. Add it to the build planner times 2. Close her up. Open this up. Production. Build planner. Connector times 2. And while we wait for that to build, this game really does look lovely. My only downside is that it's very lacking in the way of environmental details. Even down on Earth, the most you're likely to see is a bunch of trees, and that's about it. Everything else is more or less represented by just like flat terrain and textures. But thankfully, the flat terrain looks really nice. And the textures here just look really nice. There's just something like oddly satisfying about the way that all of these like little marks on the metal come together to make it look just like homey, peaceful, something along those lines. And especially when you've got the game on high, so you can come over to the window here and just look out at Earth. It's got that nice little wow factor. It's not something that will consistently wow people, and there are definitely games that have looked better, but in the sense of, man, I just came from there. It does a really good job at presenting that sense of scale, even if, like, say, the distances can be a little weird. Like, the moon is not 200 kilometers from Earth. Like, that's not even close, right? But it's clearly been scaled down a bit for engine limitations, because, of course, simulating that much space is never going to go over too well, now is it? This should all be done by now. And I'll just take all the metal I can carry and get the connector on my toolbar. I'm sure that people who are more versed in space engineers have got this shit more than figured out at this point. Whoop, I just let all the oxygen out again. I don't think we've got even any left. So, where are we going to put the connector? We're going to put it on the side, or we're going to put it on the top? Or bottom, I should say. We should probably put it on the side, because that's the only place we've really got room. Also, this is going to be a way bigger connector than I anticipated. Usually you can do just, like, small ones, but I guess not.
Energy.
Oh, I guess because we need a small grid. We need a small grid to do a small connector. That makes sense. So, right, how are we going to do this? We are going to make conveyors. But then how do we change a large conveyor to a small conveyor? Can we even put those two? I hate the grid sizes in this game. They can be really confusing sometimes. Connectors are the same size. Oh, so it's always going to be the same size and we won't have to worry about it. Okay. Forgive me for panicking. I'm still learning. I'll put this together. I've got the resources. Oh, and there's all the conveyors. I'll just bring along like a bunch of stuff and I can just hopefully make that a little bit easier. Don't need to worry about the airlocks right now. We've got no air in here anyway. Interior plates, let's just put those away. Computers, motors, small steel tubes. Let's see how much those will help us. If I just drag, like this is kind of a nice feature. If I just drag my my cursor over all these blocks, I'll just dump all the materials I have into those so that someone can come along and start building them. I wasn't able to get all of them, but I was able to get some of them, which is nice, I suppose. Also, I'm about to run out of suit energy, but thankfully, I can show you what something a little bit more advanced looks like while they finish up out there. This is a bloody massive gyroscope. Jesus, 600 steel plates. Why do you need a gyroscope that big? But yes, welcome to the Cyberpunk brothel. Please tell me that's not hentai. Am I gonna have to censor that? No, it's not. I think that's just Homura and Madoka being lesbians. I don't know. Girls, correct, and the rainbow flag, I suppose. But yes, this is what a ship looks like an actual proper ship. Because not only do we have all the resources we need to live, but this thing can actually fly. So maybe we'll demonstrate this at the end of the video or something. Also, boys, apparently. It's kind of amazing. Yeah. Look at all this. I was convinced when I first looked at this, the flag has reflections. What? Oh, it does too! Oh, that's kind of a neat touch. Good graphics. Good on them. But as I was saying, this looks like a feat of efficient size of usage. So, look, it's taking up basically nothing. I'm told that this is a mess. That this is terrible and no one should ever copy this, but I'm still kind of impressed with it. Just the amount of things we got going on here. But you've still got all the basics you need to live, and it can also fly. Also, it's got solar panels on the side that make energy for it. So, it's still pretty impressive to me personally, and we'll probably take off with this later. But for now, let's get back out to our little mining ship. Also, I came back in there to, I came in here to actually charge my energy. Also, you can see how much efficient it is to just walk up to one of these things and hold F. Done. It takes a lot longer to heal when you're in a powered cockpit, trust me. So, what resources do we need? We need, motors, construction components, and interior plates. Alright, I'll go make some motors and some construction components. Won't take me too long. I've got the motors right here, and I've got some construction components here. This'll do. These tools can be a little painful to work with, because I understand the reason why they've done this particular change, but for some tools, especially when it comes to, say, the hand drill, it doesn't actually do anything when it physically makes contact with the rock instantly. You need to wait half a second for it to decide to kick in. I can imagine that this makes the game incredibly painful to play on really, really laggy servers. Just pointing this out. We have more conveyors over here. Wow, I'm out of interior plates. What the hell is this meant to be? LCD panel. I guess we'll find out what that's for later on in the video. We're already an hour in, although there's still going to be some stuff that's going to be cut out, but this is actually starting to look like a ship. We just need a few thrusters on it at this point, right? We've got the medium cargo container. These conveyors are all going down to the drills. Oh, and a gyro and a battery. Yeah, we definitely need those. But yeah, you can see here, we've got the cargo container, which is connected to the connector, and then that connects down to the drills. So the drills will automatically fill up and fill the cargo container, which we can then use the connector to offload to the ship. There's the battery. I'll take care of the, what does it need? Yeah, I'll just go make some power cells. I'll make 10. Oh, I should probably make 20. We always need power cells. That's kind of a nice thing about the way this game handles building. You don't really need to worry too much about something being useless later on. You can kind of just build something, and if you're like, oh, I didn't mean to build that, you can just throw it into a cargo container. Damn thing will still work. So it's a really streamlined game, and As they said in the loading screen for this title, it's all about creativity and exploration. They don't want to bog it down too much with incredibly complicated building, and I mean, sure, there are some things that you can do that are, like, really complicated. You can make absolutely massive ships, and we'll probably do something along those lines in a little bit. But even just doing the simple stuff like this is just easy. I'll go and add, like, 6 hydrogen thrusters to the build planner and stick them in my production queue, and I'll just bring out whatever it makes. Sounds simple enough to me. Just your regular old-sized hydrogen thrusters, please. Nothing, not the large ones. The large ones take a fuck ton of resources. Okay. I want to build production. I want to build hydrogen thrusters. And there are things that you can do to, like, make things a little bit easier on yourself. Like, there's if I remember correctly, they're called modules. So there's your modules. Power constructions, yield of refineries, production speed, and power consumption modules. So you just hook them on, and it just does stuff. You can make different kinds of armor, so that it just looks different. Remote control. Oh god, no. Not a chance. There are some things down here, like you got your nuclear reactor for power, cryo chamber, so that people who could, on big servers, you need to sit in them. If you don't, you die when you log out. You got different kinds of thrusters. So atmospheric thrusters, you obviously need to be in the atmosphere of a planet. Ion thrusters and atmospheric thrusters do not have that reliance. There's wheels, ore detector and antenna for broadcasting stuff. There's a bunch of just, like, these are all just really simple things. You've seen pretty much everything that you need to see. You've seen the LCDs in the other ship. We even have the ability to build stuff. I can't remember for the life of me what the key is to paint. Not build stuff, paint stuff. We have the ability to paint stuff. I can't remember for the life of me. It's P, of course it is. So if I go for P, I change the color to, say, red, and then I equip the block, and then I middle click. I can paint. I believe it's also, like, Alt middle click to... I didn't mean to paint the light. There it is. So now, half of my base is red. So feel free to just, like, paint. It's too bad there isn't, like, Steam Work... Is there Steam Workshop support for, custom textures? I know there's, like, ships you can build, and we'll be doing that. Yeah, I figured, because they wouldn't want people to be, digging into the DLC sales, but still. With everything being so streamlined, that's the upside to it. There is a lot of room for creativity. And that's always the best part of a game like this, you know? You've got just the bare minimum of tools. Do whatever you feel is necessary with them. Oh, I see what you're doing. Did you already build these? God damn it, I was actually going to try and do something useful. But anyway. Do you need help with this? So just to explain what Panda is doing here, they are hooking up the connector of their ship to the connector of my ship, so that they can transfer some hydrogen over, just so we can get the absolute bare essentials going. You right? You okay? Not going to crash that? Not having a lag attack like you were the last time we exploded a ship? Or do you actually want me to, like, get in and see if I can fly this thing? I doubt it's flyable. Oh god, no, didn't mean to do that. Accidentally unlocked the landing gear. It's fine, it's fine. Your gyros are stuck. Oh, that's something. Do we have a gyroscope on here yet? I don't see one. Gyroscopes are very simple to understand. Plop it on and you can use mouse controls. At least that's what I've been told. Actually, can I build a gyroscope with what I've got on me? I might be able to. I'll just stick it on the side of the cockpit, why not? And get my bloody welder back in my hotbar. Motors, computers, large steel tubes. I'm sure I can secure some of them. Motors. Computers. A live steel tube. Wonderful. Charge her up. There we go. Gyroscope is done. How are we doing on energy? We are refueling very quickly. Please don't let your ship run out of hydrogen. Then again, we only do have like a couple of small tanks, so it's not like we're likely to drop it, but fuel's full. You can disconnect. Excuse the chair under me. Alright. So we have the last thing I think we need is we've got left, up, we've got up, back, forward, left, right. I guess the last thing we need is the downwards thrusting engine, because I'm not seeing one on the ship right now. What do you suggest for that? Are we going to put on, like, say, 2 downwards thrusters, like on the sides of the cargo container or something? It's here. Yeah, there's the down, but where's the one that sends us up, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, no, there they are. Didn't see them there. Alright, so we've got all the thrusters. We've got the... We've basically got everything we need. We've got basically the batteries. We've got the... How? The hell just hurt me there? Okay, I got no idea. So yeah, we got the battery. We've got thrusters burn you. Okay, the cargo container, the connector, the conveyors, the drills. Now I guess the thing we need to do is remove the landing gear and program the ship. So I should have known. Oh, I should have known. Alright. Let's program this beast. So, there's a few things that we can do here. See all these little individual objects? This is how we fiddle around with them. And this is how we can do different things with them. So, I can, say, lower the power on the gyroscope. It needs electricity, because of course it does. We can turn it off and on from here. Do certain things here, like override controls, and every single one of these things has these sort of controls. Like, let me just show off something a little more simpler before we go programming that ship. If I walk into my now completely vacuum base and hit the terminal here, we can change the interior lights. Just as an example, there we go. Although I should probably make that something a little more... I should probably make it something a little bit more obvious. Where is it? We'll just make it like a flat red. And no fall off. Way higher intensity. Yeah, there you go. Wait. There's our light. So you can do all sorts... This is where you basically program things to behave like they should. And there are some way more intense... Now that I like. That I like. That is actually... Does that look cool to you? That honestly looks pretty cool to me. Yep. They're nodding. They're nodding. So, what... Do we just, like, pop on up? Oh, wait. One more thing. We've got to put a connector here. Thankfully, I should have all the resources. Or at least something close. Not even close. We need motors, computers, small steel tubes, and plates. I can get all of those, because I have the plates here. Motors, like 30. Small steel tubes. Not that many. That'll do. Although that's probably going to be done by the time I exit the door and look outside. Yeah, I'm going to need more steel plates. Thankfully, I have plenty back through here. Whoops, I don't know what I did there, but that's not what I intended. Let's just stop all of this from... Wait, was that you? Yeah, that was you. God damn it. Alright. So, you think the thing's good to fly and refuel by itself now? Should be. Alright. So I guess we should get in and program this thing a little. So, K key. What do we need? We need to program the connector. And this is how you program blocks to do certain things more easily. Press the G key, and it will show you all the individual blocks here. But you can also do something kind of cool. So if I go back to the control panel and select all of our thrusters at once, we have the ability to save it as a group. So we can do all the thrusters at once. And now that we have thrusters, if we close this up, press G again, and search for thrusters, it now shows us the group of thrusters, which we can put on the toolbar, and here's all our options. So we have the option to toggle the blocks on and off. So when we do that, it will turn all the thrusters off. There are more useful uses for this, and I'd like to show you one. So for example, if we hit the connector, switch lock. That means when we fly close to it and press that button, it'll lock us into the connector. Easy enough to understand. My ship actually has a few more examples of this. You already saw the lights, but you can see on the thing there that we've got the battery, so we can choose whether or not we want to recharge it, whether or not we've got the atmospheric thrusters on or the hydrogen thrusters on. And there's a couple of others, like there is the landing gear, the downside being that if one object is destroyed, like this landing gear, technically it's destroyed because it's not functional anymore. But if it was working, you'd be able to see all, on number 4, we have the ability to say turn off all the landing gear. And there are so many ways you can play around with this. This is just the absolute bare minimum to make a ship work. There are so many other things you can do in this sense, but for now, I don't think we need to worry about anything else, so let's take off the landing gear after I get the ship in the air. And, right, let's put the landing gear in here. Switch lock. Go. And we're in the air! And thankfully, the dampeners are on. And what the dampeners do is they more or less just keep the ships in place. And this does work the same way with you and your jetpack. So it's quite useful in that sense. So now we're just going to take the landing gear off. And a couple of blocks here as well, just to make sure the drills have got clearance. And we've got a ship. Right, okay, more programming to do. The drills. So, right. Brain work with me here. So if I go back to the control panel, select the drills. Save it as block group drilks, because I can't spell. Close that. Go back to this. Drill. Oh wait, drill. Because I can't spell, remember. Drag that back over here. Toggle them on and off. I'm assuming that's going to work. Head on over here. Turn the drills on. Do not, under any circumstances, get under these drills. You can also... No, don't. You have so much to live for. I told you not to get under the drills. I told you. And now you're dead. How unfortunate. Alright. So, now that our drills have been through a lot, how much we got? We got... Whoop, there goes my phone. We have the medium cargo container, the connector, and the cockpit are all full up. Nicely done. So let's just adjust our... You lived? Goddamn. Alright. Note to self. Put in a more decent effort to kill you. Alright. Back it up, back it up, back it up. And lock it in. And all of it... Where's our ship? There it is. Most of it has gone over. The medium cargo container is not. Do I have to turn on the conveyor system for that? Is that what that was about earlier on? Oh, no, nothing's gone over. Something wrong with the conveyor? Thankfully, the ship won't need any resources while it's just hovering there, so we can refill it if we need to, but... Is something wrong with the conveyor? Got any idea? Connector? You can see how all the text changes color to let you know that it's hooked up to something else, which is a nice touch. It's just not on extract all. Is that a connector thing? Whoops. I suppose it is. Done. Okay, so now is a... Yep, that is... I assume he just programmed that through the screens I've been showing you. So now, we can just hop back in, disconnect, forward, turn our drills on, and drill for our lives. What's your power? Yep, 75, 74. Whoop. I assume that these will automatically refill. It'll fill the O2H2 generator, which will automatically refill its tank over time. We just need to sit and let it rest. Right. Probably should put one of those on then, shouldn't we? Charge it with your base. Alright. Let's hook her up. A little bit hard to do with this camera. You can zoom in and zoom out, but it's rough. It really is. Back it up. Sometimes you will need a friend to help guide you in the first time. I should probably also turn the drills off. Thankfully, you'll know when you're ready, because it turns yellow. Just put a battery in for battery recharge and H2 stockpile. I can do that. I hope I can do that. Oh wait, no, I press G. Right. I need to rename the components of this ship. I do not remember how to do that off the top of my head, but thankfully it should be easy to just see them in here. So, battery, battery miner, cockpit miner, connector miner, and where are the small hydrogen tanks? I'll need to put them in a group. So yeah, okay, now press G. Hydrogen, I called it ships, but okay. Stockpile on and off to make them fill up on that. Then the battery for the miner, that needs to go on recharge, because the batteries needed for the gyroscope to work. So we just turn them to 4 and 5. And there we are. So that is just something simple. That's a cute little miner with my logo on it. That was a really neat idea, actually, Panda. Good thinking on that one. And that's how you build a ship in Space Engineers. Because this is basically all you do. And frankly, it's really good at it. Some of these things can be kind of wonky, like the way the controls work sometimes, or trying to build things, or just needing to look certain things up, like where certain minerals are, or how certain things work. Like this whole engine thing here that actually powers the my base is a bit of a nightmare to work with, admittedly. But when you get right down to brass tacks, you know everything that's going on, and you're just building away a base, or making yourself a ship that looks like a cyberpunk brothel, or simply just making plans to go to the moon from a bunch of asteroids, or crashing into each other on the surface of the Earth. It's just really enjoyable. It's relaxing. It's fun. And first thing I thought when I booted this game up originally was, I'd like to build a skyhook. Ever played Shadows of the Empire and did the attack on Zizor's skyhook in the final battle? I was thinking I'd like to build that. I could probably do that. I'd need a fuck ton of resources and probably a lot of friends to help me get them, but it's entirely possible. I mean, shit, I made it to the moon. Hell, I built most of this base myself. It's simple, doesn't do much particularly interesting, but it's mine, and when you've got everything on high and a reasonable frame rate going for you, it's just cool to look back at it and be like, hey, I did that. And then turn around and get back to building your, finger quotes, masterpiece. So, Panda, you want to go get some really big ships off the workshop and smash them into each other? Let's do it. Alright. We're going to save the game first. Head back to the main menu. Save changes before quitting. Yeah, why not? Make a new game. Let's see. Custom game. We'll do Green Station up in space, because that'll just make... Oh, we'll do Moon Base, because then we can smash the ships into the ground and make even more shit happen. Here's your online options, by the way. Friends, your Steam friends can just immediately join you, and that's what we've been doing. It's really nice. And there's all of the options. Now, I'm pretty sure I need to do something here, like, give naval-friendly missile damage, why not? I think I need to give everyone, like, admin powers. I'm not sure how to do that. We got to make the world creative mode, I believe. Wait, you can change the block inventory size? That's kind of neat. Yeah, a bunch of options here that'd be kind of neat to have. Creative mode, that's what I want to do. Also, there's tons of mods. Like an absolute ton of mods, but we're not here to talk about them. So let's just start this mode in creative mode and figure out how the hell we bash some ships together. See, like, look at that. Look in the background. That's just some creative thinking right there. Just a gigantic spire with enough room to fit, like, a fighter ship on it. You can build anything that you want in that sort of capacity. And I appreciate it thoroughly. So let's just spawn in a spacesuit. Alright. There are plenty of these options that you've got available to you. Like, starting out with pre-built bases and whatnot. We didn't actually do that. We just started from scratch. The question is, how do I get outside? Here we go. Now, if I hit Alt F10, I believe that's a creative one. So if I enable the creative mode tools, we should have that. Yoshi, you can join... Panda, you can join now if you like. I believe you should be able to... Yep, you're already in. Cool, fair enough. Let's even change the default things. You have many names, such as on my screen right now, which you'll see when you get into the... when you actually see the video. Okay. So, let's spawn some ships. What was the buns again? So Shift F10. I can spawn planets? Hey, that's something. How do I spawn ships? Control V. Select from the blueprint screen. F10. So, we actually saved my ship, and it's kind of neat how it shows you a screenshot just to show you how far you've come. So I can spawn my ship, but it also wants to spawn my entire freaking old base. Let's not do that. Can we browse the workshop from here? Yes. Yes, we can. Oh, man. The Brynhilda. With no mods. I want to see that. Alright. So how do I copy this? Yes, I subscribe to it. Right. And I copy that to clipboard. Takes some time to load. That probably explains why you're getting lag on the other side, so let's click no. Can I copy it now? Can I close now? No. What do I have to wait for? I can't tell what it wants me to wait for. I've got a good internet connection. This should just happen instantly. I guess... Oh, you spawn your ship in F10's blueprint menu. So this is your old ship, is it? Alright, I'll have a look on the inside. You actually have hentai on the side. Oh, you stole it. You didn't build it. Okay. It's not hentai. How the hell do you get in? Oh, we got... No, you forget the line. It's, what exactly does it say? Oh yeah, it does say it's hentai and it's hard. It's not hentai, it's art. F10. Yeah, there she is. God almighty, look at that. So, Panda, pick a ship and we'll run them into each other. Preferably not this one, because you seem to be at a little bit of a size disadvantage. Oh god. No, 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 no. I'm not even in it. I'm not even in it. How do I get in it? Where's the cockpit? Oh no. I'm getting out. I'm getting run into. Where are you? Oh no. Oh dear. Oh dear. There's just a big hole in the top of the ship now. Everything's on fire. What the hell is this? I don't even have a tool to figure out what the hell this is. Is this like a nuclear generator or something? Nuclear reactor? Either way, this ship is fucked up. So now I get to pick a ship and run it into that battleship. Let's have a look. Give me something. Can I sort by... No, I can't sort by massive. That's unfortunate. Alright. We'll bung into you with this thing. Copy it to clipboard. If I hit paste. No, I'm still using that. Let's just back off a little bit. Where is F10? So do I gotta wait for it to like load? Again? That is a lot more blocks. But it's somehow smaller. Yeah, no mods will use in this ship, thank God. Whoa, what the fuck? Something just exploded in the base. What was that about? Warheads! Sweet. Come on, which one is it? Yeah, okay. So I gotta move it out to here to let this damn thing spawn. PCU limit reached. That is so disappointing. Alright. Maybe another one? Fine, we'll do the Callisto class carrier then. Copy that to clipboard instead. Oh, you blew up your ship before I had a chance to actually run something into it. I'm guessing PCU is this game's limit of whatever the blocks are for this. Click it, load it in. Alright. This almost looks like something the first order would use. Now, how do I get inside it? I'm assuming... Oh dear. Is it gonna... Something on the bottom saved it, but alright. Yeah, look at this thing. Someone clearly put a lot of effort into this. Question is, how the hell do I get up into the cockpit? That's if this thing still even runs. Imagine how much of a pain this game would be if nobody had jetpacks. Seriously, where the hell is the cockpit? I mean, it's got to be up here somewhere, but how do you get inside it? Why do I always pick the weird ships? Here we go. Bingo. Not the seat I was looking for. There is so much room for activities on this ship. Here we go. No? Yes? Oh, fuck it. Let's get outside the ship and... Hey, Panda, if you're out there, blow the ship up. Use whatever you got. Let's see if I'm still alive. Although this is creative mode, so I probably shouldn't be able to die. Oh! My computer is crying, but oh man, that was worth it. Oh, look at it. It's fucked. It is fucked. It's a shame the PCU on the default server is so low. I could imagine a dedicated server with like 5 or 6 ships like this just going at it and the resulting carnage being insane. Again, if only I had friends. You know what? I think that's going to be the end of the video. This is going to take a hell of a long time to render and fix the audio because my microphone is still a little buggered, but... Look, I really like Space Engineers. It sets out to be a space semi-survival but mostly creative sandbox with some streamlined construction and just a good amount of room for creativity on how you want to build some really nice looking ships and then blow them to goddamn smithereens if you feel like it. It does a really good job of what it does. If any part of this sounded remotely appealing to you, then feel free to pick up a copy. There are like hundreds of people playing this in multiplayer on multiplayer servers too, which is a nice touch. It's good to see the game like this. Like, how many early access failures of games like this have we heard of over the past like 5 or 6 years? And then you've got a game like this, which has been going for 7. It's out on Xbox One, and it's doing like really well. Good stuff. Are you going to blow the rest of the base up? Nope, it's the Squiggly Wiggly. It's the ship that you screwed up earlier, if I remember correctly. Can this even fly? Does it have any charge? No, it doesn't look like it does. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Stop trying to crash my server, because it's going down in like 30 seconds anyway. This has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next time.